Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You could have your seat. We'd like to get started. The City Council is reconvening from closed session. There is nothing to report out, and we would like to adjourn the special meeting of the City Council at 6:12 p.m. And I want to call the regular City Council meeting on Wednesday, January the 8th at 6:12 p.m. I'd like to request to City Clerk to read the Metro replay schedule.
Thank you, Mayor. This meeting of the Elk Grove City Council will be replayed on Metro Cable Channel 14 on Friday, January 10th at 1 p.m. and Sunday, January 12th at 6 p.m. It is being closed captioned and will be webcast at sacmetrocable.tv. City Council meeting videos are also archived on the city's website at elkgrovecity.org. For members of the audience who may have personal electronic devices, please place them on silent mode during the meeting. Elk Grove City Council welcomes, appreciates, and encourages participation in the City Council meeting. City Council requests that you limit your presentation to 3 minutes per person so that all present will have time to participate. City Council reserves the right to reasonably limit the total time for public comment on any particular noticed agenda item as it may deem necessary. Pursuant to Resolution Number 2010-24, no individual speaker concerning public comment may address the City Council for more than 3 minutes. Speaker timer on the podium counts down the individual speaker time remaining and will turn yellow after the first 2 minutes have passed, indicating 1 minute remains to summarize comments. If you wish to address the Council during the meeting, please complete a blue speaker card, which can be found at the back of the chamber and provided to the Assistant City Clerk prior to consideration of the agenda item. Thank you, Mayor.
Roll call, please.
For the roll call, Councilmember Winn.
Here.
Councilmember Hume.
Here.
Councilmember Suin.
Here.
Vice Mayor Dedrick.
Here.
And Meryt.
I am here. Next item is Pledge of Allegiance. I'd like to invite Villani to step on up. She is a member of the Toby Johnson girls basketball team that are being honored tonight. You can lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the Vice Mayor.
Yes, I'd like to, we lost one of our longtime community members, Joe Dowling, whose family's had a ranch off of Grant Line Road, and he was very, very active in the community, very supportive of the city and the council, and like to close the meeting in Joe's honor that he passed away last November.
Councilman Suin, did you want to add something to that?
No, you're reading my thoughts, Vice Mayor. Yeah, he's a very beloved member of this community, and I'm happy if we could do that too.
Yeah, awesome, thank you. At the beginning of every regular City Council meeting, the Council would like to invite members of the public to join us in a moment of silence. You could join us, please. Thank you very much. All right, I have an agenda in front of me. Is there a motion?
Second.
Got a motion, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstention? All right, next item.
We have no items under Section 3 of our closed session. We'll take us to Section 4, our presentations and announcements, starting with item 4.1, which is a presentation of a certificate of achievement to the Toby Johnson Middle School girls basketball team for outstanding performance in the 2018 and 2019 season district championships.
So why don't you ladies step on up with the coaches as well. And we're going to mention a few things about your accomplishments. And we have a City Council that's going to step down and present you with a certificate of achievement. So after winning the 7th grade Elk Grove Unified School District Championship, the Lady Cougars set out to become back-to-back district champs. By working extremely hard, being coachable, and setting their team and individual goals and expectation tremendously high to be better than they were the year before, they were able to succeed and accomplish back-to-back championship. The team's dedication to detail the game, the commitment to be better athletes and students led by examples to show how a team's chemistry, unity, leadership resulted in success on both on and off the court. The girls demonstrated that anything is possible when working as a team. Ladies, congratulations. We are so very proud of you. And if I could invite the council to come on down and present this certificate to you and take some pictures, all right? Thank you, John. I understand. Congratulations. Thank you. Since you're the one. Thank you. All right. Make sure you can see the camera.
Oh, here,
Ready? 1, 2, 3. More. There's, I think, a few more people behind me that want this shot. All right, thank you.
So, coaching, you want to say something?
is there anything that you want to, does anybody want to say anything? Yeah? Okay. We got one yet, so go ahead and face. We have one player that wants to say something? No. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say thank you for allowing us to be able to come up here and for the certificate. And I wanted to also thank the team for just being such good people and having a great time for the last 2 years.
Anybody else? Right. All right, council members, thank you so much for allowing us to participate in today. First off, I'd like to give honor to God and Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior, who I serve, and where my faith lies every single day. I appreciate and love my wife dearly, all my coaching staff, my teammates. I call them my teammates even though I'm their coach, but I figure we work together on a daily basis to get them to what they were able to accomplish, which was back-to-back championships for Toby Johnson. So thank them very much. I thank my parents. I thank their parents as well, and just all the commitment that they had for both years, showing up every day, making sure their kids were there every day at practice or games, and making sure that they brought the snacks. And I appreciate that too as well. Got my share of those, and Coach Paul as well. And I'd like to also thank, there was three of my own personal kids who attended Toby Johnson that went through there and also contributed as far as making sure that each team, each player of those teams loved one another. And that's what we teach in our home, is to make sure you love your community, because when you love your community, you do great things within the community, it loves you back. So I'm really appreciative of one of the players, Olivia's parents, mom and dad, and really helping us make this happen today. And we really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to stand before you to show you that even in middle school, we have great products of society coming your way to be great leaders as women who possibly could be in your seat one day in the future.
Yes. Yes.
They're destined.
They're destined for better things than that, I assure you.
So even though they look like these young, pretty, innocent young ladies, they really are, but on the court, they are a beast. And no matter what the challenge is, no matter how much running they did, how much they got in trouble for, like by far, this is one of the best teams I've ever coached. And by far, this is one of the best assistant coaches I've ever had, Paul Foster. My name is DeRay Edinburgh, in case I didn't mention that, but we just love Toby Johnson. We love Elk Grove. I grew up here, went to Elk Grove High School for 3 years, graduated from McClatchy, but this has been my home. So I'm very appreciative of the community of Elk Grove. It has always done me right. So in my efforts, I wanted to make sure that I gave back to this community by giving all that I had and making sure that these young ladies got the best training, got the best coaching, by Coach Paul and myself and a few other coaches not mentioned. But Coach Paul and I, and on behalf of all the other coaches that have coached you in Elk Grove, we really do appreciate your leadership. We appreciate your understanding, your learning, accepting discipline, responsibility, and then also for the community and everyone that are back there, all the parents. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Mary.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to the next item.
Take us on to item 4.2, the new hire and introductions.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. It's our privilege to introduce some new employee hires over the last quarter, as well as recognize some promotions from different departments throughout the city. So we're going to get started with our police department. Chief Albright.
Well, Happy New Year, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. It's my privilege to welcome 9 new employees this evening for the police department, one of which could not be here, so I'm going to lead off. She's an animal care specialist that's taking care of our animals now. So that is Catherine Ingolia. She is not here this evening, but Katie was born in Folsom and raised in Cameron Park. She joined the Elk Grove Police Department Animal Shelter in November of this year, and previous to that worked at PetSmart in Folsom and also for the Sacramento SPCA for 3 years. So we're happy to have Katie as a part of our team. Next up, I want to introduce, and feel free to raise your hand when I do, Adriana Vian Lazaro. She was hired as a registered veterinary technician on October 28th of this year. Adriana was born in Palo Alto, raised in Manteca, and after graduating high school, received her veterinary technician degree from Carrington College in Stockton. Prior to joining Elk Grove, Adriana worked at the Stockton Animal Shelter as a veterinary technician for 4 years. So, Adriana. Next is Christelle Mosek. Christelle was hired as our Animal Services Officer on December 23rd, a really good Christmas present for Christelle, as we talked about. She was born and raised in San Jose. She attended UC Davis, where she studied animal science. And prior to joining us, Christelle worked as an Animal Services Officer for Yuba County for the Sheriff's Department for the prior 2 years. So welcome, Christelle. Next up is Chelsea Jordan. Chelsea is a lateral dispatcher who was hired on October 28th. Chelsea was born and raised in Lodi, and after graduating high school, she attended vocational college and became a phlebotomist, where she worked for the past 3.5 years. Worked for 3.5 years before becoming a dispatcher with the Galt Police Department. And we were fortunate enough to receive Chelsea from the Galt Police Department, where she worked for 3 years. And so she's been here for going on her 3rd month now, so welcome. Next up, we're going to move on to our sworn police officers here in the room. First up is Xiao Zhang. Xiao was born in China and raised in Sacramento and Woodland. I should note that he was hired on October 28th. After graduating from Davis High School, he earned his Bachelor of Science degree in kinesiology from California State University, Sacramento. And prior to the Elk Grove Police Department, Xiao worked as a patrol officer for Stockton PD for 3 years. So we are thrilled to have Xiao as a part of our team. Next up is Chris Rahal. Chris was hired as a lateral police officer on October 28th as well. Chris was born in Mansfield, Ohio, and after graduating from Clear Fork High School, he joined the U.S. Navy and served for 6 years. Chris, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Prior to joining the Elk Grove Police Department, Chris served for the Richland County Sheriff's Department in Ohio for the prior 6 years. Chris Rahal. Next, the next 3 officers just recently graduated from our police academy. So these were 3 officers that we sponsored, the Elk Grove Police Department sponsored through the academy for a 6-month grueling academy process. I'm proud to say that these 3 finished near the very top of their class. In fact, they were the top 5 in many categories out of a starting class of over 80. So really proud of these 3. First is Kellen Gomez. Kellen was born in Lodi and raised in Galt. After graduating Liberty Ranch High School, he earned his Bachelor of Science in Criminology from California State University. And prior to joining the Elk Grove Police Department, Kellen worked part-time as a community service officer for the California State University Police Department. And he was there for 2 years. So Kellen Gomez. Next is Esam Vigil. Esam was born in Van Nuys and raised in Compton, California. He earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice from California State University. And let me back up. Kellen Gomez, I apologize. Kellen worked for the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Department for 2 years as a part-time employee prior to joining us. Esam earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice from California State University, Sacramento. And prior to Elk Grove, Esam worked for the California State University, Sacramento Police Department as a community services officer sergeant, so a supervisor of that particular rank. And last, but certainly not least, Timothy Hubbard. Timothy was born in Sacramento and raised in Rancho Cordova. After graduating from Cordova High School, he served in the U.S. Army for 3 years. Tim, thank you for your service. And Tim joined us along with Esam and Kellen as full-time police officers on December 22nd when they all graduated the academy. It's my pleasure to welcome our 9 newest employees. Thank you very much.
Welcome all of you.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Kara Reddick, Deputy City Manager. I'm really pleased to introduce you to 1 new employee and 1 promoted employee in the HR department. First, I'd like to introduce Jessica Narayan. She's probably a very familiar face to all of you. Jessica started with the city on October 29th, 2001, and she's one of the longest serving employees here. She was promoted to Senior Human Resource Specialist on July 8th, 2019. She's the city's lead recruiter and responsible for the entire recruitment process and all of these new employees that you see here today. In 2020, she'll be taking over training and staff development as well. Jessica has a current goal of obtaining her IPMA HR professional certifications in 2020, and additionally in 2020, she wants to focus on personal and professional self-improvement. And I'd also like to recognize a new employee, Angie Mahill. She started with the city on November 4th, 2019. She is a human resource specialist, and she assists Jessica with all facets of the recruitment process. She's currently working on her MBA at California State University, Monterey Bay, and in 2020, she plans to make more time for hiking and studying. So please take a moment and congratulate them.
Welcome. Don't be shy. How you doing? Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members, Bob Murdoch, Public Works. Happy to introduce actually 4 new employees and a promotion. So let me see which way I want to start here. Let me start with the promotion. How about that? Tracy? All right, so this is Tracy Glart. You might recognize her. She's worked actually in the Recycling and Waste Division for the past 9 years. And so she was recently promoted in November to Recycling Coordinator 2. She has a degree in communications from CSU Sacramento and is pursuing her master's in public administration. With her promotion, she's really going to lead our efforts on organics recycling. She's going to develop the new food waste programs required under SB 1383. We'll go with Sang Winn. Wait, Sang, come on, proceed. Okay. Sang Winn actually has been a resident of Elk Grove since 2012. He worked for Stanislaus County, so we've helped cure his commute. He's come to us. He's going to be a senior engineering technician. He's actually got a civil engineering degree from the University of Minnesota. And for Stanislaus County, he designed and managed roadway and bridge projects. So he's going to work in O&M, and he's going to help deliver our capital maintenance projects. So we're happy to have him. We have Civic Zhang. All right, Civic. Civic has actually lived in Elk Grove almost all his life. He's a graduate of UC Davis, has a degree in civil engineering. He's going to be an engineering tech too. He started in October. And for the past 2 years, he was an intern and then a technician for Willdan. We've hired him. He's done a great deal of asset data collection for us as part of our program maintenance that we're developing. And he's going to continue in that role and also help us with our pavement management and sidewalk and repair program. So happy to have Civic here. Frank Zhang is engineering technician 1, started in October. He grew up in Merced and is a graduate of CSU Sacramento with a degree in electrical engineering. And he's worked at O&M for about a year as an intern. We hired him away from Willdan.
And he's going to be working with O&M and traffic engineering on managing the city's traffic signal and streetlight program. And then last but not least, Ben Hedrick. Ben here was hired November 25th. He's our utility locator. He's done that job in Elk Grove for about 8 years. We hired him away from Wildan, and he's going to continue in that role for us. He has actually a tremendous amount of knowledge of our traffic signal and streetlight, and so Ben is going to do not only utility location, but he's also going to do our quarterly inspections of all 151 of our traffic signals. So he's going to help us actually in several different roles with that. So I'd like to congratulate Tracy and welcome everybody else to this O&M and City of Elk Grove. So thank you.
Welcome.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Good evening, Council. Brad Kane, your Director of Finance and Administrative Services, and I'd like to introduce 3 of our newest employees in our divisions, starting off with Winn, who is our newest addition to the city's IT department as an IT analyst. I've already personally benefited from his tech knowledge, so I'm grateful and appreciate that. Huo and his wife are Elk Grove residents, and in his free time enjoys playing tennis. Next to him is Omi Hartman, and Omi is our newest finance department customer service specialist. Omi was not only raised in Elk Grove, Omi and most of his extended family still reside in Elk Grove. Omi is an active supporter of his younger siblings' sporting events, and I think he was actually personally disappointed with what happened just earlier with Toby. He is a huge Sacramento Kings fan, a consumer of all forms of art, music, visual art, and poetry. Omi feels part of his purpose is to give back to the community, and he is excited to fulfill this purpose with his position with Elk Grove. And then Renee Attar is our newest finance analyst. She was born in the Bay Area and raised in Sacramento. She's a graduate from CSU Sacramento with her bachelor's in business administration. She is now a graduate student working on her MBA. Her career includes working for the legislature in Sacramento and higher education in San Francisco. While she is not busy studying or presenting annexation staff reports to council, she will be enjoying her spending time with family and friends, traveling, food adventures, concerts, musics. She's also musical. She's also welcomes any travel, restaurant, and coffee shop recommendations. So with that, if you would join me in welcoming our newest finance division. Thank you.
All right, I think that's it. So let's move to the next item.
Take us to section 5, general public comment. Members of the audience may comment on any item not on the agenda that is of interest to the public and within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes or less if a large number of requests are received on a particular subject. City Council cannot take action on non-agendized items raised under public comment until the matter has been specifically included on an agenda as an action item. Members of the public desiring a response to a specific question are encouraged to contact a member of the City Council or the City Manager at any time. Those audience members who wish to address a specific agendized item are encouraged to offer their public comments during consideration of that item.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Just a reminder, members of the public, we welcome the opportunity for you to share your concerns and raise issues within the community, but please understand that every speaker is allotted 3 minutes. After 2 minutes, your timer will change to yellow. That's an opportunity for you to sum it up. And if you could sum it up and conclude your comments within 3 minutes. I don't mean to be rude, but when the 3 minutes is over, I will interrupt you and will ask you to allow the remainder of the City Council's time for other members of the community to speak. So thank you very much. That being the case, let's jump right into our first speaker, which is Brian Erickson. Mr. Erickson, come on up. After Brian is Crystal Cornelison.
I'm Brian Erickson of Big B Construction. We're the concrete subcontractors for the Elk Grove Aquatics and Commons. I said that if we were unable to resolve our issues on a December 13th Mediation, that I'd be here at every meeting, and here I am as promised. Did you know that the city in 2016 contracted with Wilden Engineering for 3 years at a minimum $14 million a year, with the ability to add change orders as deemed necessary by the city? They also have an option to extend the contract 2 additional years. In fact, 2. Since April of 2016 to November of 2019, the city's paid Wilden Engineering $73 million. I find this disturbing, as should the taxpayers. In one breath, the city blatantly blamed Wilden for the faulty concrete design, but then continued to pay them for services and pay them a second time for a new design. Then the city forces Big B to remove Wilden's flawed design, then forces Big B to reinstall Wilden's new design without any compensation to date. This almost forced, and I emphasize almost forced, Big B Construction out of business. I question the city's allegiance to the city and taxpayers. In good faith, Big B removed and replaced Wilden's flawed design to help expedite the project completion date. Then the city pays Wilden, but not Big B. It makes no sense. It's my opinion that certain council members are in this for their own political gain, not for the taxpayers of Elk Grove. These council members rely on Wilden's contributions and bonuses for their own selfish advances. If the city council is truly in this for the city and taxpayers of Elk Grove, they should stop paying Wilden Engineering anything until Wilden Engineering steps up and pays for their faulty design and all associated costs as required by Jeff Warner in his email to Wilden Engineering.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Crystal Cornelison. Following Crystal is Dave Adjourn.
Gentlemen, Ms. Women. Public officials are held at a much higher standard when it comes to ethical behavior. There are a lot of people that may harbor mistrust towards government officials. This is the reason why there are ethics and values in place to provide accountability. As public officials, there has to be transparency. You should be an honest person, have morals, integrity, and put the public's trust above everything else. In the words of Thomas Jefferson, when a man assumes a public trust, he should consider himself public property. The public depends on you to be professional, honest, and ethical. If your moral compass doesn't know right from wrong, then you shouldn't be in a position of power. The city of Elk Grove adopted a code of ethics that consists of 4 bullet points that are a guide for behavior expected of them. Responsibility. Responsibility to me means accountability, not making excuses. And when you make a mistake, you own up to it and accept the consequences of your actions or decisions. This can also be assigning responsibility to someone else to complete a task while you still retain ultimate responsibility for its success or for its failure. Fairness. I think a lot of people would agree with me that fairness is playing by the rules, not playing favorites, and not blaming others for your mistakes. It is also thinking about how others will be affected by your actions and decisions. One could say that preferential treatment of wealthy companies while putting the burden of their mistakes onto others is unfair. Respect. I was taught that respect is being kind and polite, treating others how you want to be treated, putting yourself in others' shoes. But how do you lose respect? By deflecting blame, covering your mistakes, and abusing a position of power. Honesty. As kids, we're taught that honesty is not telling a lie, and to always tell the truth. I feel that as adults, it's taking responsibility even when it's uncomfortable to do so and may not make you look so good in front of others. It's accountability. Honesty is what builds trust. If you have knowledge or information that could help someone that is being hurt and you withhold that information, that is not honesty. When these 4 things are combined, it's an ethical code. It's your morals, like a roadmap to how one should behave, what some call a moral compass. The decisions you make every day in your life are going to show if you are a person of integrity. Do you live by that code of ethics? Do you do the right thing always or just when people are watching? Having integrity is being true to yourself and following your moral compass at all times. It is what you do when no one is watching. I think a few of you may need to adjust your moral compass. If you want this community to trust and respect you, take a long, hard look at yourselves and ask yourself this: would you trust you?
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Dave Anderson. Following Dave Anderson is Isha Khan.
Good evening. My name is David Anderson, and you may be aware that I have filed several complaints with the California Fair Political Practices Commission regarding several city staff members. I was first aware of the potential of a conflict of interest back in September when it was mentioned at the monthly city council meeting. I accessed many public documents and determined that it appeared the accusation of inappropriate conduct of inappropriate conflict of interest was warranted. It further appeared that additional staff members had facilitated the conflict of interest, which is also prohibited. I trust that a proper investigation will identify and correct any systemic problems with the city staff. It's disappointing that the city council did not recognize the problem and act before my complaints. Although the FPPC complaints are about conflict of interest, they are also tangential to the problems at the Aquatics Center. The city has reported that I am affiliated with one of the parties in the suit. I would like to clarify that I am not a party to the suit, and I have no interest in the lawsuit except to see Brian and Dory Erickson treated fairly and honestly. In my examination of the publicly available documents, it is clear to see that is not the case to date. I have also learned that the staff recommendations you have been relying on in this matter have been inaccurate or simply untrue. It appears there is a problem with the city staff, which is difficult to understand. Construction issues that lead to litigation are often complex and difficult matters to comprehend, especially if one does not have the training or experience to guide you. Over the last year, the City Council has asked questions or expressed opinions that exhibit a fundamental misunderstanding of all the facts surrounding the Aquatic Center problems. These misconceptions are compounded by the city staff not properly informing you or misleading you for reasons that I hope will become clear. With that in mind, I would like to offer to meet with any of you to explain the facts of where you are today and how this problem has been festering this long. My only interest in this is the truth and to see this problem resolved sooner than later. I have no special information or documents except those disclosed to the public. However, I am confident that I could assist you in explaining what has been going on, much of which I'm sure you are not aware of. The Fair Political Practices complaints are just the beginning of my effort to understand the motives of why this occurred. In the end, the truth always comes out. With that thought in mind, if any staff members would like to disclose additional facts, they may want to consider invoking their California whistleblower protections and notify the appropriate authorities, either the Fair Political Practices Commission or the Public Corruption Division of the Sacramento office of the FBI.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker is Aisha Khan, and following Aisha is Yasser Khan.
Hi, good evening. My name is Aisha Khan, and this is my husband. We're actually just here to make a request. We're here because we're starting up a project that's very near and dear to our heart. We are trying to build a personal residence in the city of Elk Grove. We bought land outright. We own the land outright. We have two kids. They're both they were diagnosed at birth. They both received a liver transplant, and they are also both on autism spectrum. So because of that, I actually had to stop my job last year, which I never thought in a million years. I work for the State of California Franchise Tax Board. But my kids are showing signs that that told us that maybe they need a lot more attention than what we were giving. So anyways, we are going through this non-traditional route where we're building our house. Some of the people that are helping us know us personally. For example, my uncle's an electrician. We know people who worked in the past for us. We're here because we have a request for city to consider the fees that you have, the impact fee or the initial fee. We'd like a deferral on those fees for a limited time. Because we are building this house with our savings and with the help of our family. The fees that I am referring to are just shy of $100,000. If we could get a deferral for some time, once we build our house, we'll have some time and we'll have a better way to pay. For example, we could refinance our house and then pay the city that way. But for the time being, we're here because not that we didn't know this is how much the fee was going to cost or the fees are too much, because I myself have been a resident of City of Elk Grove since 2002, and I just moved from down the street from Rancho Cordova, so I love everything about it. This is my home. But we're just trying to do something that is so special to our kids, and we're already thinking of paying it off, so that's why we're not going traditionally getting a construction loan from a company, because if we did that, we would just pay the fees right away. But because we're not doing that, because I don't know if it's making sense to you, because whatever I'm saying does. Anyways, we're not getting a traditional loan because that would raise our. My husband will take over.
Hi, my name is Yasser Majid. Like my wife stated, we are requesting for City of Elk Grove to consider our very unique family dynamics and help us start our residential product by deferring the city fees. This would enable us help our kids. Without the city consideration, we would hold off this project, our home project, for a long time. We are extremely helpful that if there's any way you would consider our request. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Jason, need a little bit of help in this. This sounds like something that is going to be taken offline and perhaps maybe a conversation as to what the options are.
I believe some of our staff have had meetings with the couple, and I think we'd be happy to get together and see what options might be available. I know we do have some fee deferral programs. I'm not sure if this specific incident qualifies for the programs that might be available. We can certainly have some additional conversations with them.
Okay.
Jason, I believe a lot of the costs are also by other agencies, so we would have to see if there was any feasibility that the other agencies would be able to defer those fees as well.
Yeah.
If we can look into that.
Usually school district fees and fire fees and other fees from other agencies, like you said. And I know some agencies do have fee deferral programs. I don't know if this project would qualify under those fee program guidelines, but we can certainly look into that.
Okay, all right. So make sure you connect with Mr. Bierman, and he'll direct you to meet with whichever staff. Okay, thank you. All right, next speaker, Sir Optimist of Elk Grove. Come on up. And following Sir Optimist is Lynn Wheat.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and City Council, and everyone else that's here. Thank you very much. By any chance, did you get a handout?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I want to thank you very much for Chief Albright for partnering with us on the human trafficking awareness for January. We have this poster in all the E-Tran buses and also on the Auto Mall sign. And then also, I was over at In-N-Out, and they are also talking about the human trafficking. I think the Rotary's got something going on with human trafficking, so hopefully we're getting the word out about the human trafficking. So thank you very much, Chief, for having your Public Information Officer, Hermanus, work with us on that. And the other thing I'd like to do is thank our City Council for participating with us on our Foster Youth Luncheon. We had about 15 young ladies, and it was very impressive to them to have you participate and to also deliver a letter. So that meant a lot, so thank you very much for that. In this handout that you have here, another thing that's coming up is Dream It, Be It, a career development program. That's going to be over at the Wackford Center. It's going to have 4 one-day sessions on career development. So you may hear us giving you a call about that. I'm not sure if we have already or not. But we're hoping for 40 young ladies to be involved in that. The next piece of paper you have is the Martinis and Merriment, and that's one of our fundraisers, which helps us do the things here in Elk Grove that we do. And I think that a few of you may already be attending that, so thank you very much for that. Your next page that you have is just an example of some of the things that we do here in Elk Grove. This is an old look back, but still it shows you how the money that we raise goes right back to the community. And another thing we're working with is with the Rotary, with 3 strands and Protect Ed. That's going to have 3 training sessions for the community on human trafficking, and also age-appropriate training for our students. Start talking about technology, how dangerous it can be for our young students without them knowing what it is that's happening when it comes to technology. You know, the phones being controlled, the internet, all of that. So I'd like to say thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Our next speaker is Lynn Wheat. Following Lynn Wheat is Stacy Anderson.
Good evening. First, I'd like to begin by wishing you all a Happy New Year. And I had quite an exciting holiday season, and I received something very special from some friends that recognize just how much I care about our city and just how much I work towards us having a better city when we consider our land use planning. So as you will recall, when we began our general plan update, and I'll just go back and give a little history, we had a Citizens Planning Academy for which this was a certificate. I and about 39 others spent the day, and we received at the end of that time a little citizen planner badge. Well, my friends felt like I needed a little bit more than a badge since I worked so hard for everybody within our city, the people in trying to build a better city, that they got me my own little citizen planner t-shirt. So I don't know if you could see that. But I will add to that too. There was a project, Silverado, it was originally Ventura, and I fought really hard because I thought that'd be a great regional open space. Well, I lost that war. But we did win one little battle when the project came forth again. I and a couple others were working on it, and so we asked under the conditions of approval that they make sure that there's concrete pads so that people, when they put their trash cans behind their gate, wouldn't have to be going over the bark like they do in every other project, every new project within our city. So along with this wonderful t-shirt, a few years back after we had that small victory, and you can't see these are trash can earrings. So I wear these because as hard as I fought for our city and wanting things better for the young people that you had here before, I feel like it's really difficult from this side of the podium. And so that's why I'm leaving all my options open and seriously considering running in 2020, because we need 2020 vision, and I don't think that we have that. And so I'm going to also finish up because I have a few more seconds. I've been continuing to follow, and our general plan update was all based upon growing outside our boundaries, not nurturing and taking care of what we have, but paving outward when we can't even really do a great job filling the potholes within our city or filling some of those empty retail places or really building a better community. So I asked and put in a public records request to see where we are in the annexation for the soccer fields, because I know that it's going to come up and we won't, as a general public, be real prepared for that. So, of course, I did receive some information, and it's eking out since November 6th. But what I will share with you, and I won't go through it all, was it was really interesting on one of the meetings, November 6th, when I put in my public records request with the city and also with LAFCO, it was agendized, Public Records Act report. So that leads me to believe now. That leads me to believe now that every future email, every meeting will be, our friend Hobbs will be attached to it, so that we will not have a transparent process here before the documents are presented to LAFCO in March.
Thank you very much. We
Thank
appreciate it. Thank you. Our next speaker is Stacey Anderson. Following Stacey Anderson is Constance Conley.
Hi. I was at the community meeting this morning, hosted by Dignity. I think I'm finally starting to thaw out, but it was worth it, and thanks to those of you on the council who also attended, as well as the city staffers who were there. Mayor Lee and Councilwoman Winn, thank you for sharing your personal stories about your positive experiences with the organization. And Councilwoman, you were on fire today. If you heard the same things that I heard, you probably walked away with a sense of excitement and comfort. Themes that resonated throughout the presentations included their incredible amount of experience and long-standing history of success in the healthcare industry, their proper and careful planning to ensure that such an important project isn't rushed and that no corners are cut that might affect the well-being of the city, the variety of specialty services that they'll have available, their location that's central to the city so that all residents can conveniently access those services, bringing quality jobs to the city with a diverse workforce that reflects the demographics of Elk Grove, the newest technology, and a facility that blends in tastefully with its surroundings, their dedication and their outreach to the community, and their transparency and honesty about their goals. If you heard the same things I heard, you should be proud that Dignity has chosen to build a hospital in Elk Grove. It's a stark contrast to California North State University. CNU has a history of being dismissive of its neighbors and tenants, deceptive in their communications, even careless with their operations, as their lack of proper management with regard to their college now has them battling a citation with the state for several violations. And just when we start to wonder, how could CNU possibly become any more devious? They applied to be certified as a leadership project via AB 900 on September 24th, which would greatly expedite the EIR process. The public review period for that application ended on December 30th, but we didn't hear a word about it until yesterday, when we received a notice sent out by the city, who's the lead agency, stating that CNU's application for that status had been approved. So instead of being honest and communicative with the residents of Elk Grove, CNU has once again decided to quietly pursue another avenue of fast-tracking their project in an attempt to shove it down our throats and deny us the rights that we should be afforded during this process. If it hasn't been made clear before, it should be coming clear now. CNU has no desire to be a good neighbor. CNU has no desire to be transparent. CNU has no desire to improve the well-being of our community. CNU only cares about CNU. Thank God we have a reputable alternative, and Elk Grove will have dignity.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Constance Conley. Following Constance Conley is Michael Manaski.
My first name is Constance, not Constant.
Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that.
Just so you know, I was named after King Constantine of Greece, so every time you mispronounce my name, Greek Americans pay attention.
I appreciate that.
Part of the
English
role-
is my second language. Thank you.
Part of the role of a citizen is to hold government accountable. not easy at times. As we begin the new year, I want to address an issue that is unsettling to many active residents, and that is a lawsuit against Big B Construction. When reflecting on the injustice of this lawsuit, it occurred to me that the city of Elk Grove, meaning its citizens, are suing this company. As a citizen and taxpayer of the city, that technically makes me a plaintiff. As a plaintiff, I'm incensed we are suing Big B when it appears by staff's comments alone the fault lies with the public works contractor control of the Aquatics Center project, that is Willdan. We pay Willdan tens of millions of taxpayer dollars every year to oversee our public works projects. Yet Willdan seems to be getting a pass here, and subcontractors Big B and Arts Construction are being sued. Is it the will of this council to force Big B into bankruptcy and ruin people's lives, which includes Elk Grove residents? Justify to this plaintiff, why are you punishing Big B's dedicated and hardworking employees? As reported in the media, Willdan's design is responsible for the cost overruns and delays, yet this council seems to be going easy on them. Could it have to do with all the cash that Willdan bestowed on most of this council? Would Big B be treated more fairly if Mr. and Mrs. Erickson bought members of this council, as has been done in the past with other people, a very expensive bottle of red wine? Would another developer bought skiing trip give them more clout? It appears to this plaintiff that Brian Erickson has too much integrity. What he is asking for in bringing forth the truth, and rightfully so, is for this council to do the right thing. And now we learn that Alvin Wong, the city's primary public works contractor, no longer works for Willdan. Coincidence? This reminds me of the departure of former transit manager Carlos Tobar, who left the city's employee in the dead of night and, as reported, left $2 million of transit bills hidden in his desk. This council needs to immediately drop the lawsuit against Big B and hold Willdan accountable for the concrete problems. Big B also needs to be fully compensated for all monies owed them. And by the way, who is responsible for changing the concrete design which caused the cracking? This plaintiff would like the answer to that question. In closing, this council extended Willdan's contract on the consent calendar not too long ago. Again, millions, tens of millions of taxpayer dollars. Maybe it's time to rescind that very generous contract extension and give Mike Kasawaji and Interwest a call. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Michael Manaski. Following Mr. Manaski is Mark Graham.
Compassion requires mindful listening. If, while washing dishes, we think only of the cup of tea that awaits us, thus hurrying to get the dishes out of the way as if they were a nuisance, then we are not washing the dishes to wash the dishes. What's more, we are not alive during the time we are washing the dishes. In fact, we're completely incapable of realizing the miracle of life while standing at the sink. If we can't wash the dishes, chances are we won't be able to drink the tea either. While drinking the cup of tea, we will only be thinking of other things, barely aware of the cup in our hands. Thus, we are sucked away into the future, and we're incapable of actually living 1 minute of life. This statement quite accurately maps the method this council uses to do its work. The consent calendar and many of the proposed ordinances aren't read in public. Citizen speakers are routinely and rudely cut off time after time, and after time is called, impatiently by the presiding officer. Complex staff reports are summarized and most of their details are ignored when special interest lobbyists who contribute to your political campaigns recite their narratives without the time and access limitations you impose upon concerned citizens. In my opinion, if this or any other council wants to practice compassionate behavior, they'd be duty-bound to abandon the pay-to-play campaign finance game. The members of the council would have to actually listen to the speakers in a dynamic, active fashion. When conflicts of interest are mentioned and ethical charges are made, the council members should be interested in listening to such comments despite their inconvenient and uncomfortable nature. When the public refers to government workers and elected leaders as public servants, It's because there's an inherent duty in the job description to listen to the people. When you cut people off, you're not listening. When you take money and do the bidding of campaign contributors, you're not listening. When the public dares to prophesize the doom of collapsing capital or the gloom of global warming and you brush it off, you're not listening. Listening requires the mindfulness of washing the dishes. Both require that you be alive and receptive to the experience. Otherwise, you're just mindlessly breaking dirty dishes.
Thank you, Mr. Manaski. Mark Graham. Mr. Mark Graham, step on up. Following Mark Graham is Jan Smutley-Jones.
And Mr. Graham submitted a PowerPoint presentation to accompany his comments for this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mark Graham, Elk Grove. The Senior Legal Counsel for the Federal Communications Commission, Mr. Paul Dowry, says that an FCC licensee or applicant must complete a NEPA checklist for every cell antenna permit application. This is to determine whether a given cell antenna is categorically excluded from an environmental assessment. Who do you think understands NEPA better? The FCC's Senior Legal Counsel or the City Attorney? How can you tell when you are getting bad legal advice? When it is contradicted by multiple statements from the FCC and the DC Circuit Court of Appeals, and because the City Attorney chooses not to address any of those statements. The reason he chooses not to address those statements is that he has no answer for them. On December 11, he changed the subject from NEPA to CEQA to distract you, and you fell for it. Please think for yourselves. It's part of your job. This is an uninformed and misinformed City Council, and most of it is your fault. If you would read my emails and press your City Attorney to specifically address the statements that I showed you here and by email on December 5, 11, 23rd, 29th, and January 3rd, you would be better informed. Let's review the factual basis and legal basis that you are trying so hard to ignore. 1A. A NEPA checklist is necessary to confirm if the wireless facility is categorically excluded and does not require an environmental assessment. 1B. To determine whether an EA is required, the licensee or applicant must complete the EA checklist. 1C. Every individual cell antenna application must undergo NEPA review. I'm skipping a couple, but you have them. If you don't read these things before the meeting, you are not prepared for the meeting. 2A. Major federal actions include actions which are potentially subject to federal control and responsibility. 2B, where construction of a commission-regulated radio communications facility is permitted without prior commission authorization, the licensee must nonetheless comply with historic preservation and environmental review procedures. I gave you this for each one of you. It has the end notes on the back. Now, and finally, 3, Sprint has estimated that it has completed NEPA checklists for 20,000 to 30,000 sites at a cost of $2,000 per site. Mr. Mayor, I'm asking you to commit tonight to make 2 phone calls and report back to the council. First, call Paul Dowry at the FCC and ask him about his email to Phoebe Sorgan on December 6th and his conversation with Ariel Strauss on December 12th and his quotations that I've shown you. Second, call Sprint Corporation and ask them about the $40 million to $60 million that they spent on NEPA checklists. Why did they do that? Please say yes that you will make those phone calls and report back to the council. Will you do that, Mr. Mayor?
So, Mr. Graham, I've already agreed to do it. It's not necessary for you to bring it up to council, but I've already agreed to assist you in this endeavor. So
I wanted the entire council and staff and the public to see it,
sure,
that the city is going to make some progress on this issue, which has been none so far.
I hear what you're saying and I hear your concern, but please understand that I do have a day job. And when I'm at my day job, I'm not doing city stuff. And understand that when I do mayor work, it's after hours, it's on the weekends. And when I do pick up the phone to make a phone call, I sure hope wherever they're at, they're answering it. So I want you to be fully aware that I have a full-time job as well. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
I'm aware.
Thank you.
I appreciate your commitment, and it may involve some phone tag because Mr. Dowry is the FCC Senior Legal Counsel.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah.
John, would you like to address any of those issues?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I think I understand Mr. Graham's confusion. His position is that NEPA applies in the abstract. And what I told the council before, which is state and federal law, is that NEPA does not apply, the National Environmental Policy Act does not apply to the city council's actions. We are a local agency, we're not a federal agency. Instead, we have CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. That does apply to your actions. The city complied with CEQA in the approvals of the zoning amendments as well as the agreements with both AT&T and Verizon. We went through a CEQA review process. The city council approved that CEQA determination. NEPA would apply to federal actions. The FCC, the federal agency, would have jurisdiction over NEPA. Now, to the extent that the carriers need to comply with NEPA, the federal law, prior to taking any action, that's a matter for the FCC. It's simply not within the city council's jurisdiction. So to say that NEPA applies to the activity misses the point. The point for this council is whether or not, the construction activity that is. The point for this council is whether or not NEPA applies to the city council's approvals. And because we are not a federal agency, do not have federal enforcement powers, do not have jurisdiction under NEPA, it does not apply. CEQA does apply, and the city council complied with CEQA.
Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hobbs. Our last speaker is Jan Smutley-Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Councilman Suin and Councilman Winn, who was at the Dignity opening today. I thought you did a very eloquent job of describing the importance of having a hospital in Elk Grove. And as you know, there's another hospital in Elk Grove that has gotten the interest of those of us who live on the west side. And I just wanted to come here today and talk about this a little bit. And Happy New Year. I'm hoping to start a year where transparency prevails. Last year, it's been a year now that CNU announced that it was going to build a very large hospital/trauma center, 12-story, in a shopping center that we all utilize in our neighborhood. That came as quite a surprise, and many people believe that it was a done deal, which obviously you know that it is not. But that was sort of the first, without any notice to the community, that was happening. This has become kind of the hallmark of this organization, CNU, of keeping people in the dark. This last August, a nonprofit that they had that had been giving scholarships to their students suddenly turned into an entity that was going to build hospitals. That entity never had more than $45,000 in its account, had zero when they transferred that. Within 3 days, we had the notice for the TEFRA hearing, which basically this went from a for-profit hospital to a nonprofit enterprise and a request for $900 million of public financing. At that hearing, and it was agreed to, and that's water under the bridge. But I think Councilman Hume, you mentioned that they were burning up political capital very quickly. I would say that the account is now, lacks insufficient funds at this point in time. You just heard Ms. Anderson very eloquently talk about this AB 900 notice that just went out. Apparently in September, CNU requested the special treatment. This is the same thing they got for the Golden One Center. These have been used for these large projects, and in that case, it was to keep the Kings. Not sure why this project fit that, but to make a long story short, the CNU did apply to this. The consultants that are doing the EIR provided the work in the application, and it appears that the staff had to check off. They were source of contact with the state. I'm not here to beat up the staff because I put a request in for them for some clarification. There was no public notice that the application was there. We had an opportunity, according to state law, to opine on this, but it's kind of hard to put comments in on an application that you do not know that's there. We're looking forward to working with the city and with you. You're going to have big decisions to make on this project. We want transparency, and we're looking to you to understand the fact that we have legitimate costs, and we don't want to be blindsided constantly by something else that pops out of the hat. So look forward to, I'm not sure I look forward to it, but I look forward to conversing with you on this important issue throughout the rest of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There are no additional speakers, so let's move to the next item.
John, is there anything that you feel should be addressed on any of the speakers?
No, nothing specifically. If the council has any questions, I'm happy to address those.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item.
Takes us on to section 6, general administration information.
All right, several items here I think are worth noting. One is just to recognize the good work of our economic development, Office of Economic Development. They received the Paving the Way Award as part of the GSEC annual award process on December 12th. It recognizes excellence in economic development across 7-county region. The Independent Nomination Review Committee selected Elk Grove for its positive job gains, having added over 7,500 jobs since 2015, and an improvement to its jobs to housing ratio. Last Saturday, Elk Grove Police Department teamed up with Brake Masters and Starbucks to provide coffee and free catalytic converter etching for more than 75 vehicles. Etching can help identify very costly stolen parts and may help deter thefts before they happen. Brake Masters will continue to offer free catalytic converter etching with any service. Elk Grove Community Council will honor 6 Elk Grove community members who have a lifetime of outstanding contributions to the community tomorrow night during their annual Elk Grove Hall of Fame ceremony. Those that will be recognized include Kay and Gil Albiani, Yvonne Bonacci, Dennis Butcher, Jay DeWald, and Elizabeth Pinkerton. Tickets are still available at $25, available at eventbrite.com. City will be participating in various events, local and regional events, honoring Dr. Martin Luther King this month. On Saturday, January 18th, the second annual Elk Grove MLK Community Breakfast will be held at Laguna Town Hall, 3020 Renwick Avenue, beginning at 9 a.m. Anybody from the community is invited and welcome to attend. On Monday, January 20th, city staff will join the community in the March for the Dream, a regional event honoring Dr. King, starting at Sacramento City College at 9 a.m. Details on both events can be found on the city's website. Also wanted to let the council and the community know that the online application period for next year's grant programs, including the Community Service Grant Program, the Community Development Block Grant Program, and the Event Sponsorship Grant Program will be open on January 17th, and they will remain open into the middle of February. There's also going to be a workshop explain for those nonprofits who may need help filling out the forms and understanding the technical requirements. That'll be held on February 4th from 2 p.m. And there's another one at 6 p.m. here in the City Council chambers. A couple other events coming up. We have our grand opening celebration for the center at District 56. All members of the community are invited to come celebrate with the city this great new gathering space for the city of Elk Grove. Center District 56, there'll be this grand opening celebration on January 23rd from 4 to 7 p.m. at the facility located at 8230 Civic Center Drive. Festivities will include a brief ceremony at 4:30, light refreshments. Also, there was going to be a Lunar New Year celebration coming up on January 31st from 6 to 9 p.m. This will also take place at the new community center at District 56. It is a free event. Members of the community are invited to come celebrate the Lunar New Year. Also, just a reminder, the City Hall will be closed on Monday, January 20th in observation of Martin Luther King Jr. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the City Council might have.
Any questions? There are no questions. Thank you, Mr. City Manager. And let's jump right into council report. Councilmember Winn.
Thank you, sir. Happy New Year. Welcome back, everybody. It has been really cold lately, really cold. I really don't have much to report. I took the last couple of weeks doing the holidays with family and friends, and so I'm glad to be back. I did attend the Dignity Health unveiling this morning, where I think we all froze and our nose was dripping. We looked like Rudolph, and I don't think any of us were able to feel our fingers afterwards, but it was a wonderful event that was very well supported by not only our planning commissioners were there, but also CSD directors were there as well too, Senator Pan's office, Assembly Member Cooper, Donna Tolley, so lots of community support around that. And that's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Hume.
Thank you, Mayor. I have to get ready, or get adjusted to being earlier in the queue now to give my report. I apologize, I was not at the opening this morning. I meant to attend. My calendar got messed up, and it had me going there an hour later, which until I looked at the instructions, I realized that was not going to work out. So would have liked to have been there, and I certainly look forward to Dignity moving forward with their project. I have nothing to report other than tomorrow we have a meeting for the Sacramento Transportation Authority where we will be receiving public comment on the draft transportation expenditure plan. This would be a potential sales tax measure to be placed on the November 2020 ballot. So if you have feelings one way or the other, the plan's available online. Come out and make those comments heard. That's all I have as far as that, but I don't know if the representatives from Big B went out into the lobby or if they left, but I just want to address that there's some mischaracterization going on that I don't think is fair to the residents of the city of Elk Grove, certainly not fair to us up here on this dais, and not fair to city staff. We are not suing Big B. We are demanding that the work that was performed for the Aquatics Center was done to an acceptable standard. Whether or not that work was the work product that had produced unacceptable results was a matter of design, of oversight, or of execution. We don't know that. That's not our purview to make those determinations. We're trying to come to some sort of an agreement wherein that, oh, good, I'm glad to see you're back here, wherein we figure out where the blame for it lies. It is not wholly within any one particular person's I believe, in any one particular entity's purview. And so your fight, unfortunately, is with ARNTS to have ARNTS make you whole for whatever you're paid for. Sir, this is not a debate. This is not a debate, but you had an opportunity. I didn't interrupt you, and I'd appreciate the same courtesy. We have contracted with ARNTS. ARNTS contracted with you. And so there is no way for us to pay you any amount of money, even if we wanted to. But that's not the point. The point is that this was not performed to a standard that was acceptable. We have demanded that that work be redone, and now we're trying to figure out who should pay for that. That's the situation. And as to your comments, ma'am, my moral compass is intact, and it is calibrated to a true north. So my hands are clean on this deal. I feel good about everything. I'm sorry we're in this ugly situation with you all, and I wish the best of luck for you. And my heart goes out to you because I understand that you're in a thin situation here with keeping your business afloat. But I just want you to know that. Well, okay. So thank you. I'm not trying to engage. I want to put that out there. And then the last thing is that, you know, I hope as we move forward with this, there are some parties who are not participating in the discussion who need to be at the table and either make their defense known or present evidence as to why it's not their consideration. So whatever we can do to compel those parties to come to the table and make their case, it's important that we do that, because obviously we would like to avoid actually going through a true litigation and going to court. But it's an ugly situation, and I appreciate your plight, and I welcome you to come back every 2 weeks, as you said, if that's up to you. But I just want to make sure you understand the fight isn't between us, per se. And there's nothing we could do to rectify anything outside this thing working its way through the proper channels.
So, Councilmember Hume, can I just make a clarification? I would like to note, Big B is in fact a named defendant in the lawsuit, as is ARNTS, the general contractor, as is Wildan as the design professional, as is SWA as a subcontractor to Wildan. They've all been brought in the lawsuit, and there are a number of cross complaints going back and forth. We have encouraged ARNTS and Big B to work out their differences because we have no direct contract with them. We have legal theories in which we felt they had to be part of the lawsuit, and they were eventually brought in through that. Big B had filed a cross complaint against ARNTS to try to recover their money. For reasons that are unclear to me, Big B decided to dismiss that cross complaint. I don't know the reason for that. That's for their lawyer to decide. But to your point, Councilmember Hume, we feel that it is at least a design and a construction issue. It's not necessarily one or the other, and we're trying to resolve that in good faith. I agree with you that we would like to have additional parties to try to come to resolve this, and we're working very hard to try to do that. But it's not a solely one side versus the other. We hired one company to design it, or one group to design it, another group to construct it, and we feel legitimately that there are flaws as to both. We are trying to resolve this. We are not trying to put a company out of business. That is certainly not our intent. But this is a way to try to resolve what we feel to be defective and cracked concrete out there. We're trying to get that done.
And I appreciate I appreciate the clarification. I wasn't trying to obfuscate the issue. Obviously, having named parties is compelling a legal process that has to take place at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Hume. Councilmember Suin.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I don't have much to report either, being the first of the year, so just want to wish everybody a happy new year. We, as Councilmember Hume mentioned, we have STA tomorrow. It's over 40 years, it's $8 billion, and the current proposed expenditure plan, I think, is approximately $500 million that would come to the city of Elk Grove for traffic relief and road maintenance and transit projects. So, as Councilmember Hume mentioned, it's online, and the meeting tomorrow, public meeting tomorrow, will have continued conversations about it that we started at the end of last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Dedrick.
Happy New Year. It's been a month since we've had a meeting, and wish you all the best in 2020. And I have nothing else to report because all the boards and commissions have been out on recess since our last meeting. I do support the comments that were made by John Hobbs, our city attorney, relative to Big B. And with Big B, I wish you all the best of luck. And hang in there. That's all I can say. It's a tough deal. None of us enjoy going through this part of our projects. This isn't the first project we've had problems with, and it probably won't be the last. I mean, with the size and scope of all the work that we do in this city and the contracts that are made, there's things that do go sideways. But we are looking at all opportunities to pull all this together, and our executive team has our support all the way on this. That's all I have.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Hume.
Thank you. I'm sorry I got distracted by responding to public comment that I forgot to lead off with what Vice Mayor mentioned about a Happy New Year. I just wanted to say that I took a couple of opportunities to go by the District 56 site. I want to congratulate staff on a beautiful tree, a beautiful promenade, and just what a magical place that was during this holiday season. And I just can't wait for this year until that space starts to really get programmed and has some life and activity there. It's really something exciting to look forward to.
Awesome. I'll waive my report, but I really did want to highlight the beauty of that tree. It shines best, it's most beautiful when it's at night. So I was thoroughly amazed when what we saw in the morning, and then when we came that evening, it was pretty impressive. And that is it for me. Let's move to the next item.
Take us to Section 8, consent calendar items.
Okay, Section 8. I have one member of the public which is signed up to speak on 8.9, so I want to open public comment and invite Ms. Lynn Wheat to come on up.
Good evening. I just wanted to speak to 8.9. I'm glad that we're going to be reinforcing the library and fixing the structure and replacing some of the flooring. It's unfortunate that that's going on at all. Back when the city bought that particular building for the library, it wasn't structurally built to be a library, so the city also put in a lot of money, $1 million I believe, to make it library worthy. And I've heard that in the talks that there's consideration that that's not an adequate site and that we could be moving possibly in the future and building a library somewhere else. So I'd like to suggest, since we've invested a lot of taxpayer money into that, and it looks like we're going to be putting more in, that we consider that maybe we can have, if we're going to build another library somewhere else, that we could at least have this site somewhat used as a library, or work with some nonprofits to do something else so that it's open to the public, okay, since we own it. So on another side, I just want to bring back up the multi-sports complex SOI annexation application. I think the notes that I was reading said that it was going to come forth in March, so I thought I'd share that with you because I don't know if you've been brought up to date on the status of where that is. I will be continuing to put public records requests in so I can stay abreast of what's going on with that project, because I do have some concerns. I'm reading that they're looking at, you know, the detention basins that they'll need on the site. So it looks like we might end up with one of our soccer fields built as over at CRC, so it would be like a pit, and I don't know how, you know, how that would look, if that's really what we're looking for in our complex that's going to bring everybody from other areas. I have a little bit more time, so I am going to attend the STA meeting tomorrow, because gratefully I have the day off. And I'd like to suggest that what Elk Grove's looking for money-wise is for a connector that is actually just going to create more sprawl. It's not really going to address taking care of the traffic that we have here now. Even the White Lock interchange, when built, was just supposed to support what's in Laguna Ridge, and the general plan update that you've approved has that overriding consideration. So let's not try to fool people. We are going to be living in traffic because you chose as a body to say that we'll have traffic because our economic development is so much more important. So the JPA connector from I-5 over to Grant Line is about getting that road built so that we can build more homes. It will do nothing to improve the traffic for us within our city. So please address this in a realistic, honest way, and quit hiding behind it's gonna alleviate our traffic, because it's not.
Thank you, ma'am. There are no additional speakers, so I want to close public comment. Council, deliberation and direction. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Next item.
We have no items under Section 9 of our public hearings, which will take us to Section 10, our regular agenda action items and recommendations. And that one item is item 10.1, which is consider a resolution adopting a charter for compassion for the city of Elk Grove and establishing a compassion awards program.
Good evening. I'm Carrie Whitlock, Strategic Planning and Innovation Program Manager for the city, and I'm going to be presenting on the city's Charter for Compassion. So as you may remember, this issue's been raised a few times on council meeting previously. It was first brought up by the Compassion Elk Grove group in late September, where council asked for then a formal presentation at a future meeting, and that was done then on October 23rd when Compassion Elk Grove returned. And at that meeting, council directed staff to return with a resolution and further ideas on what could be done in this area. So the proposed resolution adopting a charter for compassion of the city recognizes the long history of compassion and civic engagement in Elk Grove and the diversity and inclusiveness that makes the city stronger and more welcoming. It recognizes the interconnectedness of all the individual and community benefits of showing compassion and the need to balance the needs of current residents with future generations and human needs with the natural world. The resolution outlines the 9 principles you see here. Many of these are not new to Elk Grove and can already be seen in the diversity, caring, and inclusiveness that we celebrate, for example, with the Multicultural Festival that we have every year and in the incredible support that the community has shown to the new animal shelter. In addition to the charter language in the resolution, there are other ideas related to compassion activities for consideration. The resolution does authorize a compassion awards program as one activity. The guidelines for such a program are outlined in attachment 2, and it is intended to be a way to recognize the city's commitment to creating a compassionate community and the positive benefits that brings to our city and residents. The awards would be open to any individual, group, business, or organization who exemplify one or more of the following criteria: working to alleviate the suffering of others, honoring the inviolable sanctity of every human being, encouraging a positive appreciation and respect of culture, ethnic, and religious diversity, seeking to promote empathy with others, promoting and practicing environmental sustainability, practicing kindness, or supporting citizens in the community to flourish. The award nominations would be reviewed by the Compassion Elk Grove group, and then they would make a recommendation to the city, and a frame certificate would be provided to the awardee at a following city council meeting. Attachment 2 also provides ideas for other compassion-related activities that could be undertaken in future. This includes such ideas as having the Elk Grove PD issue compassion tickets, creating a City of Compassion poster for city facilities, creating and tracking a well-being index to monitor progress over time, creating a citizen portrait of Elk Grove art project, or strengthening our existing collaborations or creating new collaborations with organizations around compassion-related activities. These ideas are all subject to further input and direction from council. In terms of the fiscal impact, additional city resources are not needed to adopt the community charter for compassion. The Compassion Awards program would involve time from existing city staff, and other ideas put forward for future activities could be considered as part of either existing staff workload or would be subject to availability of funds if needed. So in terms of next steps, consider the resolution adopting the Charter for Compassion, provide direction to staff on the guidelines for the Compassion Awards program, and then any additional direction that council deems appropriate for staff. So with that, I am available for questions, as are members of the Compassion Elk Grove Community Group.
Any questions?
Yeah.
Councilmember?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Carrie, for that presentation. We can always use a little bit more compassion. I give you that. But I have a question. When you mentioned about no additional city resources, would the resources that would be used, what other efforts are they balancing in addition? And while it's no additional resources, I'd imagine it still would require some effort that could or may need to take away from other things going on, whether it's the youth commission or multicultural commission, those kinds of things.
So the resolution itself wouldn't necessarily need additional anything. It's just would be something to be put forward. The awards.
Yeah, implementation. I'm sorry, that's what I was referring to.
So with any of the particular items that we put as ideas, we would expect that those would be further refined and given additional direction. They're not included in the resolution as is, with the exception of the Compassion Awards program, and that would be staff time. With any of the additional ideas that would be put forward, we would need to further refine what that looks like and what it would mean, and then if there were additional resources needed to then do that.
So to do the awards program and those kinds of things, you think existing city staff could accommodate that work without affecting the other existing programs?
So the way that we've tried to structure the awards program is that the Compassion Elk Grove group will actually do quite a bit of work with looking at that program and then make the recommendation to the city. So the city involvement would be, putting up a website for nominations to come through, and then putting together the certificate, and that would be it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. No question. Thank you. Okay. This point in time, I want to open for public comment. We have a number of speakers signed up to speak. First speaker is Greg McAvoy. Following Greg is Bonnie McCraw. You guys want to all do it at once and just start batting? All right.
So we're members of Compassion Elk Grove requesting the adoption of the Charter for Compassion as presented by Ms. Whitlock. In 2017, we joined together to promote the value and the practice of compassion in Elk Grove, and we've grown in numbers as we've pursued our first major project, which is this charter. Inspired by the global Compassionate Cities movement, we consulted people for content, what should be in our version of the charter here for Elk Grove. We've had living room conversations throughout the city to discuss that. And then we drafted proposed texts, brought in reviewers to help us to revise and edit those, and then brought them to this body for consideration. And we're grateful for the warm reception that it received here and we're pleased and also very grateful for the work that Carrie has done to transform the proposed draft into a resolution and to also help develop this Compassion Awards program. And it's just wonderful to be at this action stage tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bonnie McGraw.
It's a pleasure to be here to speak to you. I've been asked to speak to the history of the compassionate programs in Elk Grove. In the past, we have taken advantage of Project RIDE, which was started by Jesse Baker many years ago. And we have the food bank that was started at the Methodist Church originally by Bob Foskren, but which has now grown and way beyond what it used to be. At the present, we also have the Senior Center, which started out as a public group rather than just simply a private organization. We now have the project called HART, H-A-R-T, not like the organ, which has been sponsoring Winn's, the Winter Sanctuary Program, and also the Uplift Program, which is designed to help those who are in poverty to try and get out of poverty and to develop skills and connections in order to be able to become more self-reliant. Last year, or was it the year before, we had No Place for Hate, when there was all that animosity that developed racially. We celebrate in Elk Grove the Multicultural Festival, and it got its start with multiculturalism in the Sacramento population, which is so heavily ethnically diverse. And we celebrate the fact that our mayor is from a refugee past, and a couple of you also are second generation of refugees. And so refugees is certainly an area of compassion that Elk Grove has demonstrated. In the future, we need to be thinking in terms of climate change and that's impact. That's certainly an area of compassion that needs to be addressed. One of the things going along with the environment is our program for trails in the city. And of course, we need to think in terms of how can we develop programs for the homeless. There's so many that are homeless that the Winter Sanctuary is able to help them during the winter, but what about the rest of the year? And what about through the daytime, not just the nighttime provisions? So past, present, and future forms of compassion in Elk Grove. Thank you.
Thank you. Brenda Kress.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm so excited to be here again in front of you, hoping to see this signed and put into action. One of the things Compassion Elk Grove has talked about doing is continuing our conversations, compassionate conversations in the community. Compassion as a word can mean different things to different people based on our backgrounds and our upbringing and all that. So we want to continue reaching out into the community, asking the question, what does compassion mean to you? And then how can we tie this into our businesses as well? Looking at ways that businesses can operate more compassionately. And probably the main point after attending some of these council meetings is remembering, sorry, it's late, remembering that compassion is a practice and not a perfection. And that we're looking forward to partnering with the city in making this a really good practice for all of us. And finally, I did want to thank Carrie Whitlock so much for her wise counsel and guidance in helping us get to this point. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Sandy Maliga. And if I mispronounce, please correct me. Again, English is my second language, so I do appreciate the correction. So I apologize if I butcher your name.
I just wanted to follow up again a little bit on what Bonnie said. In considering how a person comes up with an idea, a creative idea, that's going to help other people. And they get really motivated by it. They're ready to go. And they have to go out and find support in the community. So something that the government can do by giving them an award is really helpful to move that forward. And when you look at I just moved here a couple of years ago, and so I was looking into some of these instances like the Senior Center and the Project Ride, and being really impressed with how they grew, how they developed support. And it was obviously by the evidence of what they did. And so it's really important that we be in touch with what's going on in the community, and that we be responsive to it, and that we be able to encourage the things that we really want to encourage, like compassion, when we do that. So that's why I support it.
Thank you. Paul Merrill.
Good evening. My name is Paul Merrill, and I'm a member of the Charter of the Compassion Elk Grove and our community. And I'm pleased and grateful for this resolution, and wish to thank both you city council members and the city staff, especially Carrie, who put time and heart and reflection into crafting the resolution. My input tonight really focuses on one simple and essential aspect of compassion and the decision to become a compassionate city. And it is this: extending compassion to everyone is a choice. In the years since retiring, I have come to better understand that compassion is natural. It is in our very nature, given to us at birth. Yet this natural compassion is usually limited to those most close to us: children, family, close friends, neighbors. What is clear is that extending compassion beyond those safe and familiar to us requires a choice being made. What you are doing tonight is both claiming compassion as a core value and choosing to extend this value of compassion throughout the whole community. You are making a decision. Compassion is the necessary value to undergird and nurture our life together in Elk Grove. In this resolution, thank you, Carrie, there is one word that is remarkable. It is the word lens, L-E-N-S, the lens of compassion. I celebrate and pledge to work with you in keeping this lens of compassion present in all of our work and reflection and decisions. Every human life is of equal value. Let us live into becoming more and more a compassionate city. Thank you for adopting this resolution and for committing to extend compassion throughout the whole of our community and our home.
Thank you, Paul. Mackenzie Weiser.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, my name is Mackenzie Weiser, and I serve as the Chair of the Planning Commission. I've had the utmost pleasure working with Compassion Elk Grove over the past year to bring forth this proposed resolution before you tonight. As a mother of 3 children, I'm often struck by the fact that youth seem very disconnected. I'm going to get emotional, sorry, I'm going to try not to. They seem to be way more connected to their electronics than the community surrounding them. That's been really something that I've been noticing as a mom of 3 here in the city of Elk Grove. Diagnosis of depression and anxiety have increased, pretty much doubled since 2003. So what I want to do is commend you for taking the time to, as Paul said, make decisions through this lens of compassion. What we need to do is know that future generations are going to become more connected to the community and the curriculum if it's grounded in compassion. One thing I want us to do as a community is stay steeped in teaching all generations what was once a fixture in most children's upbringing. Treat others as if you wish to be treated. I commend the city for seeing this the importance of looking at each decision through the lens of compassion first. This means that you will look at the long-term costs and benefits of all future generations, even those who have yet to be born in our great city. Thank you so much for your time and continuing to put Elk Grove citizens first.
Bill Meyer.
Just listening to what Mackenzie was saying reminds me, we came here in '75 with little tiny kids. My daughter Janie was one of the people who worked at Project Ride, you know, with the kids, leads the horses around. You know, it really helped form her character. I mean, Janie is no small part of what that being out to. Today she's their accountant as a CPA. You know, it's nice to see that go through time, you know, and that kind of loyalty staying around. The point I want to make is that there is a huge amount of science behind the idea of compassion. It's actually fascinated psychologists and sociologists. In a nutshell, compassion is good for the people who receive it. It's even better for those who offer it. All kinds of information about how that act of getting outside ourselves and to others does everything from lower blood pressure, reduce inflammation. It's a wonderful thing against stress, both physically and mentally. And it also at the organizational level, there's been a lot of work on this. You can actually trace compassion when it's introduced into an organization to the bottom line. It's not too hard to figure out why people get along better, they respect each other. One of the most interesting things about it, once people stop being kind of guarded up this way and can care about others, it releases innovation. People start getting creative. That was a little bit of a surprise. People hadn't necessarily expected that. But the other thing that's really stood out is that Paul made reference to, you know, we weren't born to compete. We survive as a species by the fact we have really complicated, intricate ways of cooperating. Watch football these days. Sure, we compete, but look at the intricacy of cooperation it takes to gain 5 yards. You know, so in a sense, what the compassion movement leads to is for us to sort of live up to who we are, you know, in a more open sense, you know, and turn that to our advantage. The point for Elk Grove is, when I moved here and knew Jesse Baker and I knew these people, you know, this was a place that felt like it was compassionate. I mean, these are people that was part of life. I sort of felt we were losing this as we got bigger. But so I think in a way, as we get bigger, what I'd like to do is see us recuperate some of that kind of sense of community we brought at that time of caring for each other, and just formalize it enough to remind ourselves, you know, in governance and in the community, that this is something we're about. It's in our history, and we can build on what we've already been. We can build on what we are now, both as human beings and as members of this community, and we can use this in the future. My last point is, I think that this should be an economic development thing. I would think it would be fairly easy to sell a community that wants to be this kind of community and ask people if they'd like to move here. Okay. Again, like all the others, I would like to thank the city, both yourselves and the staff, for all the work you put into this. Again, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Laura Hanson.
Someone signed me up. I didn't know. My name's Laura Hanson, and I'm the co-founder of Compassionate Capital Region, which is oversees the 7-county area, and we're very excited that Elk Grove is the second city outside of Sacramento to become a compassionate city and join the over, I think, 200 cities around the world, and about the 15th city within California. The state assembly at this moment is working with us to move through a joint resolution for California to be the first compassionate state in our country. And Elk Grove will be listed among those cities. And what you're doing today, and I really appreciated the words regarding the legacy that you're leaving as citizens and as elected officials, that you're putting in place something that will last generations and that will grow over time. So this is very exciting, and thank you for considering this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hanson. Last speaker is Connie Conley.
As the author of the Mayor's Volunteer Awards and the Hall of Fame, along with Darren, and the Best of Business Awards, along with Darren, this will be a welcomed addition. When I read up on this, I was reminded of when I worked for the California Peace Officers Association, and I was in charge of their education. And I'll never forget, many, many years ago, I was up at Folsom PD, and we were giving a course to a room full of internal affairs officers. That was back in the day when it was all men. And we had an expert in the field that was giving a talk to a room full of, and I was sitting in the back of the room with Chief Spiegel, who is a pretty daunting, if you knew him, he was a pretty daunting presence. And the speaker said to this room full of men, as he's talking, and if you didn't have an expert speaking to the CPOA, the officers would eat you alive. So there, you could hear a pin drop in this room as this gentleman was speaking. And he said to all of them, there's only one thing in this world that every single person wants. There's just one thing. And he asked this group of officers what it was. And not one of them raised their hand. And I had not heard this lecture before, so I didn't, I knew the answer because I just knew the answer. So Chief Spiegel looks at me, and he goes, "You're the only woman in this room. Do you know the answer?" And I said, "I do." He goes, "Tell everyone what the answer is." Do you know what the answer is? That's right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Conley. There are no additional speakers, so I want to close public comment, council deliberation and direction. Members? Vice Mayor?
I really appreciate all the speakers. Each one of you separately had a very, very strong point that you brought forward, and I really enjoyed the history aspect of it. And many of the things over the past decade, as were mentioned with Hart and Winn and some of the others that have come forward over that time. And I'm sure we're going to continue to build upon that, just as we're looking at the most likely probability of approving this tonight. But compassion is not always seen as often as it should be. So I think it's a very, very good reminder. I would like to believe that many of the things we've done as a city council in the past have been with compassion. I think a good example is the young couple that talked about their family and trying to build a home, that we would like to see how we can help them. Those are the kind of things that you have to kind of think outside the box sometime. You can't just try to make everything fit, because some things just don't fit. And I really appreciate you bringing this forward, not only from the national level, but all the way down to the Elk Grove level, because that's where the business gets done. There's a lot of things that happen on a national level that never take hold in the local community. So for you to champion this and have such a powerful group, many of you I've known for a long time and have a lot of respect for. So I really appreciate you bringing this forward, and I'll definitely be supporting this tonight and hope the rest of the council will as well. Thank you.
Yep. Councilmember?
Thank you, Mayor. Nice to see you guys again. I am fully in support of adopting this charter and for the overall effort of the city. And I just want to say publicly, I've mentioned to her privately, but this group thinks the world of you, Carrie, and I think rightfully so. You have shepherded what is a little bit of an esoteric process to reach a point of conclusion that has tangible action items attached to it. And so that was the direction I gave Bill way back when, and it has now come full circle to fruition. And so I just think that's a great thing. Couple of things, as when we met and talked, we kicked around a couple of ideas. I don't want to really say too much about one of the ideas that we mentioned, because I still have yet to present it to staff. But on the citizen portrait of Elk Grove, we had talked about potentially doing a workshop to kind of take a snapshot of where people think they are. I mentioned that briefly to Carrie, and we talked about, well, once things slow down after the holidays, And I was like, Carrie, if I come and mention something to you, I'm not looking for after the holidays. It's like it may be the springtime, you know. I mean, things will never slow down, but let's not feel like we're rushing into this. So, but I do want to put my efforts toward helping that come to fruition. And the one thing I would say is for me, from not only an alliteration standpoint, but also a words matter standpoint, I would change it from compassion tickets, because tickets are a negative thing, to a compassion citation. Because you can receive a citation in school that is a positive thing, and you can receive a citation from the police that's a negative thing. So I think that kind of melds the two. And then the other thing that I would just sort of throw out there, and hopefully this is a sustainable effort that continues to grow and actually materialize in more and more ways. That's what they've shown compassion does, is the more that it gets shown, the more it extends. And I think it was Bill made the point about the offerer of compassion receives as much benefit as the recipient of compassion. They've actually done studies, and those who witness compassion receive an endorphin benefit from it. So, anyway, what I was going to say is that I hope that we can, since you're going to be the gatekeepers of how the awards or whatever we want to call them, the presentations at council are meted out, that maybe we don't do a floodgate at the front end and then have it trickle off, that we will kind of do it in a logical, hold some back and keep the excitement going, keep it front of mind for people. And then the other thing that I would say is I really appreciate all of the reflection on the history of Elk Grove. And that was also a comment. I think maybe the first time you put the trifold in front of me, it has a lot of future language about it, what Elk Grove will be. And I really appreciate you coming to the podium and respecting what Elk Grove has been, because those organizations did get started by individuals, and whoever made the point, I think it was Bonnie that talked about somebody who gets a fire and they get a thing, and that's the thing that they want to go do. You know, systems change starts at the individual level, and somebody really pursuing that. And so I commend all of you for coming forward with this. I'm in full support of it, and I look forward to working with the Department of Innovation on how Elk Grove can innovate in ways of compassion. Thank you.
Great.
Councilmember?
Thank you. I won't repeat a lot of the things that have already been said. I want to thank you, Planning Commissioner Weiser, for bringing this to us many months ago, and for also bringing everybody else along. It seems like the group has grown, and I love seeing that, and we can all use a little compassion. And you mentioned having kids and them being attached to the electronics. I have young kids myself, and I experienced that as well too, not only within my own family, but other young people that I see, is that they're always glued to their phone. And so I'm very supportive of this. I hope that we can be examples, starting with just ourselves in our city, and making sure that young people understand about compassion, because I think they forget about that. They don't understand what that truly means. And so I'm very supportive behind this. I feel like today has been such a heartfelt day, heart as in H-E-A-R-T, because this morning it was all about human kindness with Dignity Health, and right now it's about compassion. So thank you so much for bringing this to us, and what a great way to start the new year. So I am supportive of this as well too.
Councilmember Suin.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just echo my colleagues, and I want to thank all of you for coming out tonight and taking up this charge. I said it earlier about we can all use a little more compassion with all the craziness going on in the world today. I think it's fantastic that all of you are bringing this forward, and look forward to working with you on the awards and different programs as we move ahead. Thank you.
It sounds like we all supported. Bill McKenzie from the get-go, when we had the conversation, it was easy for me. And I think that for me in particular, somebody who came here to this country as a refugee, what I found here in America is compassionate people. And I picked Elk Grove in particular because I saw a community that would embrace my diversity and would include me in the community. And it really was a no-brainer. And I'm just excited that many of you have come together and request us as City Council to formalize this and make this a part of the process. So thank you so very much. All right.
I'll move to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Got a motion second.
Before
All
you
in favor?
vote, I assume your motion, Councilmember Hume, would include changing compassion tickets to compassion citations?
If there's, I think that's just direction to staff at this point, but if that needs to be codified in the motion, I would be willing to do that.
I'll support
Assuming
that.
there's,
Yeah.
Sure.
okay.
Sure.
Okay. Got a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? All right. You have a resolution.
Congratulations.
With that being the case, let's adjourn this meeting at 8:06 p.m. Thank you all.